Tonight, these 11 incredible students will share the stories of the passion projects that they pursue throughout the year in our DigCit class. Their topics range from body image, to bullying, to bees, to music and mental health, and much more. When we began this project at the beginning of the year, we did an activity called heartbreak mapping. And I asked students these 3 essential questions. What do you love? What breaks your heart about what you love? And what are some possible solutions? My hope is that tonight, all of you in the audience will be open to hearing about and possibly even becoming a part of these solutions. Because as you'll hear many of our speakers say, these are not projects that end tonight or at the due date or even at the end of the year. These are projects that we hope will become lifelong passions. We have a very special student tonight who will be your MC for the evening. She took the class last year, and it's not very often that you have a senior who has a very full schedule who volunteers to come to your class every day just to be there as a mentor and a support for other students. But it is very typical of this particular student to do this kind of work because it's important to her and it matters and she wants to make a positive difference in her community. I'm probably going to cry. So I'm just going to go behind the curtain and cry for the rest of the night. So it's really fitting that this student share the stage with our speakers tonight because she's been one of their biggest supporters and encouragers, and one of mine too, since the very beginning of this DigCit journey 2 years ago. So if you will please welcome to the stage your MC for the evening and our senior student mentor, Taylor Isherwood.
Topics. We have a lot of really good students ready to talk to you about some pretty interesting things. So to kick off the night, please welcome Anita Hendricks with Perfectly Imperfect.
I am a hypocrite, or at least I used to be. I was a hypocrite because I didn't practice what I preached. See, the transition to high school is never easy. You're challenged with a great number of things. One of those things may be coping with body image. Well, in my freshman year of high school, I developed an eating disorder. Me. 14 years old, I experienced a side effect on one of my medications, weight loss. And at first I liked losing weight. And once I saw results, I didn't stop. Losing 20 pounds, I became dull, depressed and dull. Irrational thoughts began to flood my mind. I'll never be good enough for anyone. I'm worthless. How can anyone ever love someone like me? I felt as if I was unwelcome in my own home. That home was my body. So what I challenge you to do is to look back at yourself, whether you're 6, 7, 8. Tell yourself that you're worth nothing, that you'll never amount to anything, that you're too fat, too skinny. You can't, can you? So why do we as men and women create this mindset of perfectionism? We are proof of imperfection. I am proof of imperfection. Young people need to know that they are perfectly imperfect and that is okay. Well, now that I'm in a healthy place, I want to inspire people of all ages to love their bodies. And this year, I fulfilled the role of a mentor to middle school girls in particular. When I asked my counselor about my project, she immediately told me that there were few girls in the middle school willing to learn. That answer was like music to my ears. Asking for help shouldn't be shameful. It's bravery, if anything. So I set up an open discussion, and the feedback was amazing. The feedback was honest and intimate. When I was talking to the girls, I felt as if I was looking into the eyes of my 14-year-old self. This is not something to just push under the rug. It is real and it is happening. When the unrealistic portrayal of both men and women is being advertised in media, it takes a toll on you. It's an unconscious thing to do. Whether you realize it or not, unrealistic expectations may grow into unhealthy habits. Now, by all means, I don't want to scare you. Instead, I want this lesson to allow you to grow as a person, and I want this lesson to be viewed as it can easily become a lifelong battle for some people. So I urge you to love yourself unconditionally. Invest in self-care and embrace your imperfections. Make your body your home. Thank you.
Thank you, Anita, for having the courage to people's lives.
This piece of brass has changed my life forever. I've been playing the saxophone for 5 years. I started out in school band, jazz band, and eventually pep band. I especially enjoy jazz. As my love for music continues to grow, I have recently started playing the bass guitar and cajon. Because of the impact of music in my life, it seemed very natural for me to choose a passion project related to music, so I did. For my passion project, I chose to make a video for a nonprofit organization called Musical Minds. Musical Minds is an after-school program that teaches kids how to play music, but it's more than just music. It's about building character and inspiring to be creative. I chose to help promote this organization because I believe in helping the next generation prepare for success. Being a kid is hard, and we need an outlet. For some kids, it's sports, music, or even just being outside. For me, it's all three. Musical Minds providing this safe, encouraging environment. I went to film a Musical Minds concert, and I expected to be there for an hour, maybe 2. I got some great footage from my video, and I saw that my mom was helping make maracas at an arts and crafts table, so of course I went to go help her. Before I knew it, I'd been there for over 3 hours, making more than 100 maracas. Something about music just brings people together. Music is a great way to relax, and it's escape from the rushing thoughts of school and many other things. I've met some of my best friends through the band, and we continue to grow closer with each day. When you learn to play an instrument, it's like riding a bike. It's something that you never forget. When you can do something that makes someone want to dance, move, or sing along, it is a great thing. Musical Minds helps kids boost self-esteem, gain confidence, and build character. Music doesn't just change tempo, it changes lives. Thank you.
Future motivational speaker for that amazing talk. Next up, we have Kira Pasco with You Are Not a Joke.
I'm a teenage girl. I'm overdramatic. I'm attention seeking. Right? These are all things that were said to me when I was struggling with mental illness. In my sophomore year, it got so bad that I was hospitalized for suicidal thoughts. In my time dealing with these issues, I've noticed that adults don't always take teenage mental illness seriously, to no fault of their own. Many are taught to just get over it, so it makes sense that they would say the same to kids. However, as people are beginning to learn, you can't always get over it. Sometimes you have to get through it. It begins with parents. Parents sometimes tell their kids to just get over it. Snap out of it. Change your attitude. I'm happy to say that during the course of this project and as I progress further in therapy programs, my parents have become so much more supportive of my mental health needs. However, not everyone's that lucky. When I went to a staff member about an issue I was having, I was told I was being manipulative to get someone's attention. When I was in the hospital, I met an 11-year-old boy with schizophrenia. The voices he was hearing were telling him to hurt himself. Rather than help him, the nurses put him in a room by himself, and we all heard them say things like, "These kids don't need actual help, they just want attention." Over and over, the focus seems to be on attention. Get over it. Snap out of it. Change your attitude. This year, I sought to change that focus from attention-seeking to needing help. I began with parents. I held a parent seminar with teachers, parents, and students, and brought in a therapist and a representative from Davidson Lifeline to speak with us. It went so well, and I really feel like everyone left with a better understanding of how they can support their kids and their friends in their mental health needs. In February, I'm good, just dying, it's all good. In February, I presented at a high school staff meeting on how teachers can support their students. It went over well, but I personally felt that I could have done better. So, in March, I made the same speech at a middle school staff meeting. This went so much better. The teachers had amazing questions, and I really feel like they left with a better understanding of how to support their students. Additionally, I gave them resources on how they can support students without overstepping their own personal boundaries. I wanted to speak with someone within the hospital system, but after many tries, I couldn't get a hold of anyone. I don't plan to give up, though. For me, this project extends beyond the due date. I want to continue to make a difference. So, after hearing everything I've done, you might be wondering what you can do. If you're an adult, listen to the kids in your life. They want to know that you love and support them and will help them get through it without judgment. If you're a kid who's scared to talk about this, I understand, but you can talk about it. You are valid and you matter. You are not a joke. No one is. Not even this overdramatic, attention-seeking teenage girl. Thank you.
Amazing students here tonight who have had the courage to get up on this stage and talk about things that a lot of people, oftentimes cannot talk about. So I'm really proud of a lot of them because if you were here last year, I got up on the stage to talk about the very same thing and I was not able to complete my talk. So I'm just really proud of them. So can we have another round of applause for everybody? Next up, we have Alex Ponce, Mr. President, with Living the Nightmare.
Oh, sorry. Good evening, everyone. Let's give it up one more time for all the speakers tonight. Take some breaths tonight. All right, my topic's a little different. Of course, you can see living the nightlife. So here it is. Passion. Passion is a funny thing. Sometimes when you try to force passion, like with this school project, it might turn into more of an obligation. But other times, you might find yourself working really hard on something for a long time, never even realizing that that was your true passion. Well, that's what happened to me this year. This mission to create a culture and a spirit at Lake Norman Charter, it started even before I knew about this passion project. So I didn't do what I did because of the project, but rather I had a project because of what I was already doing. As student body president, the biggest issue that I wanted to improve on was the lack of student spirit and pride. There was this apathetic attitude about being involved in any type of student life. There was no real sense of connection, no real sense of pride. I didn't like it, and I knew we could do better. My thinking with LNC was that if we have to come to school anyways, why not try to make the most out of it? So what would it take to create this nightlife? Well, my idea was that by increasing the connection within the student body and being more receptive to the students' needs, we could create that nightlife. With an engaged student body, we could create a culture of investment and pride. And that's what would be known as nightlife, a term that refers to this unique experience here at LNC. Sounds simple, right? It surely was ambitious at first, maybe even far-fetched. And with any ambitious idea, the doubts creep in. Soon I was hearing things like, student council doesn't do anything. There's no way they can have that much of an impact next year. Or, just give up. LNC is a college prep school. There's no room for fun. And soon I was hearing things doubting my own personal ability. Alex Ponce, that kid is so extra. He's going to try to do all of these things and not even be successful. Or, Alex, sure that kid is smart, but can he lead? There's a status quo that he's trying to break, and I'm not really sure anyone will like it. So obviously not everyone was on board with my whole idea at first, but for the ones who believed in it, we followed through. This year, we introduced a plethora of new platforms, primarily Snapchat, which allowed the whole school, almost the whole school, to be connected. And with that, a new YouTube page for visual announcements that we made every month, and a Google Forms suggestion box where students could directly input concerns, interests, requests, all of that. And also with that, I had monthly newsletters where I directly responded to those requests, interests, concerns. The thing was that we had no precedence for this. This was all new. There was no telling if this would even be successful. But to the surprise of the doubters, it proved to have a big impact. This year, with Snapchat, we were able to definitively reach out to over half of the student body population, and it has proved to be the most effective mode of student body communication yet. And this connection translated into much more, whether it be higher rates of participation for the student sections at games, or views on our YouTube page, following on our Snapchat page, or the amount of responses we got every month on that suggestion box. But aside from what I can quantify, aside from what is tangible and what I can tell you, we just had fun. We had a type of fun that LNC kids, especially lifers like me, had for so long been waiting for, that we've seen in other schools, but not necessarily here. The bringing together of these students proved to be powerful, and it has shown to improve the quality of student life significantly. Here are some real student testimonies. For once, we felt a sense that we had a family, a culture, a tradition that LNC had for so long waited for. Before, it wasn't cool to participate, but of course now it's sort of an expectation. Before, a lot of people didn't believe things could change, but now the students feel connected and therefore see a reason to have pride and spirit. Nightlife is this big group of people, and we all come together and we cheer on all the teams, and we support our school. We have a lot of school spirit here. And here we are now, nearing the end of the school year. I'm almost about to graduate, actually. From this journey, I learned many things, but primarily the most important thing that I learned was that leadership is not just about me. It's about everyone around me. It's about connecting with your students, your teachers, your administration, making sure that you work together to create that sense of community and culture. Pushing towards a better LNC was never mandated or required or necessary at all. It was simply driven by passion. But this passion doesn't stop when this talk does. You, the students, teachers, all the stakeholders of LNC have a responsibility for keeping this going. My class of 2017 will soon be gone, but I'm hoping that the legacy that we've created will live on forever. Thank you.
Forever, for sure. Thanks, Alex. Next up, we have Dylan Shaddick with The Secret to a Better World.
Thank you so much. Do you want to know how to lower your environmental impact significantly? Would you also like to know how to improve your health greatly as well as your quality of life? About a year ago, I did just that. I went vegan. To begin, environmentally, veganism is sustainable. It takes roughly 1,800 gallons of water to make 1 pound of beef, whereas with that same amount of water, you could have 7 pounds of tofu or 75 pounds of cabbage. You're also able to lower your environmental impact by 55% and your carbon footprint by 18%. Roughly 70 billion land animals a year are killed worldwide for human consumption in inhumane and miserable factory farms. By going vegan, you can stop your contribution to the inhumane suffering and death of animals. So knowing this information, what did I do? I held a week-long vegan challenge where everybody who reported back at the end of that week said that they would be incorporating more vegan products into their diet, like almond milk and tofu. I even see one of my friends every now and then eating vegetables for lunch, where he didn't before. And knowing teenagers, I'd call that a win. And going vegan also helped me shed off guilt, as well as a couple of pounds. But the guilt that helped me shed off was knowing that my actions negatively affect animals. Once I knew it was on my plate, I had to change. That's not to say that you're a bad person if you eat or drink milk, but could you change out your cow's milk for almond milk? Could you change out your meat for tofu? I urge you to change, big or small. A change is a change, and change is good. Thank you.
So we have a different kind of talk for y'all now. This is Samuel Bond, and he is going to be doing a talk and learning to be authentically you after he does something different.
We gon' walk it out and move all day. The rise up, I'll rise like the day. I rise up, I'll rise unafraid. I rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again. And I rise up, I like the waves. I rise up, in spite of the age. I rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again. And we'll rise up, I like the waves. We'll rise up, in spite of the age. We'll rise up, and we'll do it 1,000 times again.
We're gonna give Sammy a second to count his breath and get mic'd up, but watching him makes me so tired, and it also makes me feel bad that I have no ability to dance. But there are many reasons why I'm glad I know Sam, and one of them is definitely because one day when he's working for some dance troupe or on Broadway, he can pay my bills for me because I'll be in law school and broke. So, yeah. So please welcome back to the stage, Sam.
Hi. I have a question for y'all. Are you happy with yourself? Do you live day to day fulfilling your greatest aspirations? Picture yourself in high school. But for some of you, that was a long time ago. But try your best to picture yourself in high school. What did you wear? Who did you hang out with? How did you feel about going to school? For the adults in the room, how much does any of that really matter today? Since day one of second grade, I was never happy with myself. It wasn't anything going on internally, but it was because of the people around me. I guess what you could call what I dealt with was bullying. Some of you can relate to my situation. I am a male dancer. I've loved dancing since I was 2 years old. I loved it so much, I asked Santa Claus for a pair of pink ballet shoes, of course. You can probably think of the things that I went through. If not, let me just tell you. People called me gay just because I danced, as well as some not so appropriate words. They also bullied me just because I like so-called girl things. But overall, I felt terrible about myself, and I wanted to change myself just to fit in with the crowd. When I came to Lake North Charter in high school, I got this brand new book bag. If you knew me then, you might remember the color. It was a super bright tealy color, and everyone knew me because of that book bag. But would you be surprised if I told you that people bullied me just because of that book bag? Or is it because I was unapologetically passionate about dancing? Think about the following question. What makes you, you? Why are you made uniquely this way? Have you ever felt that you had the bad unique rather than the good unique? Well, I basically felt that I had the bad uniqueness my whole life. My passion project is about self-expression because I want people to learn to be their true, authentic selves. I also created these pins and rocks to symbolize that people are different in a way. A couple of weeks ago, I held an event. At the beginning, I felt kind of disappointed because I knew not very many people were going to come. But a part of me hoped that I was wrong and that there would be a bigger crowd. But you know what? Sometimes good things come in small packages. A small group of people ended up coming to my event, and it was amazing to talk within that small group. We shared insights and stories about how we shared our personal experiences, as well as why people weren't showing their true authentic selves. People tend to react the same way when they see somebody show their true authentic selves. They tend to say, I'm just too cool for that, or that's weird. But what they really mean is, I'm too immature and I can't comprehend that there are new and different things in the world that are outside my comfort zone. Isn't that just the saddest thing, right? Yes, but it happens all the time. Just think, if no one were afraid to show their true personalities and unique qualities, then we would see the true and broad spectrum of our diversity in our world today. Cruelty and discrimination would be obliterated. The main lesson to be learned here is that you are not like most people. There are going to be some people that will accept you for who you are. There's some that won't. Just remember, don't try to fit in with the crowd. In the words of the great Oscar Wilde, be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. Thank you.
I remember when I was in 8th grade and Sam was a 6th grader, seeing this cute, little kid that had this bright teal book bag on. And no one, really knew who he was, but we knew him by his book bag. And I had the pleasure of getting to know him last year in my Spanish class, and I'm very thankful for that. So thank you, Sam. Next up, we have Savannah Boast with What's the Buzz?
Who here has eaten something within the last 24 hours? Raise your hands. Yeah, all of you. Think about what you've eaten. Maybe it was your mom's home-cooked lasagna or fresh salad. Think about your favorite meals. Bees, chances are that without bees, that last meal would not have existed. Bees pollinate 30% of our crops and 90% of our wild plants. The bee population is rapidly declining, and several species are now at risk for going extinct. The loss of bees would be devastating for humanity. Honeybees are the creatures most responsible for pollination worldwide. Any threat to biodiversity in the world can turn out to be a detrimental change. This problem started in the 60s when the pesticide known as neonicotinoid began to be widely used. Another problem is that a lot of people will call an exterminator to come kill bees if they find a hive in their yard instead of calling a beekeeper to move them. In the last 10 years, beekeepers have reported an annual beehive loss of 30% or higher. For my project, I want to educate people, especially kids, about bees. I want them to grow up caring about bees and wanting to save them rather than hurt them. Many kids aren't aware of the bee problem, and even if they are, they don't know how to solve it. I was hoping they would learn from me how to protect bees and carry it forward. If my project is successful, then fewer bees will die, which impacts our entire community. There's so many small things that pretty much anyone can do, and I wanted to educate kids because it all starts with them. They're our future environmentalists, scientists, lawmakers, farmers, consumers, you get the idea. So I wrote a children's book. I wrote all about bees and how they're friendly and want to help, and I took it around and read it to kids. Kids absorb new information like sponges, and I was hoping they'd hear what I have to say and take it home to their parents and siblings so that we can reduce the fear of bees in our community. Here are some of the ideas I gave in my book about what you can all do to help save the bees. You can plant flowers that bees like, such as thistle, alfalfa, sweet clover, and dandelion. You can buy raw natural honey from local beekeepers when possible. You can put small bowls of sugar water out in your yard in the summer for when the bees are tired. You can check your pesticides to make sure they're not harmful for bees. You can make sure you call a beekeeper and not an exterminator if you ever find a beehive that you need to be moved. And you can make sure not to step on bees if you see them around your house or in your yard. Okay, so think back to that favorite meal. Bees are responsible for 1 in 3 bites of food on our plates. There are small steps that we can all take now to ensure that we can continue to enjoy our favorite meals for years to come. Thank you.
Wasn't that unbelievable?
That was funnier in my head, sorry.
Okay, due to some prior conflicts, this next talk will be via video. So here's Amanda with Hygiene and Hope.
Period. Menstrual cycle. Time of the month. I bet you're feeling pretty uncomfortable right now. My project aims to destigmatize this issue that more than half the population of the world experiences. More than half the population of this room. Even if you don't have a period, I bet you have a mother, a wife, or a daughter who experiences this normal bodily function that is often labeled as taboo. Periods are frequently glossed over and avoided. Sure, they're talked about in health classes, but often turn into a joke. Had a bad day? Angry? Sad? Happy? Ah, yes, it must be because of your period. I'm so tired of that stereotype, as I'm sure are many women. A period is a normal part of a female's biology. For most girls, they're taught how to properly handle their period, and it becomes routine each month. As I began to research how people around the world perceive periods, I learned that women who live in poverty have it so much harder than most. What's routine for most can turn into a monthly nightmare for women in poverty, simply because they do not have access to the sanitary items that they need. Last year, I had a period accident at school. I'm sure many of the women in this room can relate. I felt insecure, embarrassed, and ashamed, all for a bodily function as normal as your heart beating or your stomach digesting food. I couldn't imagine what it would be like living through that every month. It's unhealthy and unjust. These items are not a luxury, they are a necessity. I learned that many homeless women either bleed on themselves or use unsanitary substitutes, such as toilet paper or towels. Think about it. There are about 1,000 homeless women in Charlotte alone. No one talks about this issue because people are still uncomfortable about the topic. So there is a huge unspoken need for these items in our communities. In order to address this need, I had a feminine hygiene product collection drive for pads, tampons, panty liners, hand sanitizer, tissues, and other toiletries, and I donated them to the Safe Alliance Women's Shelter in Charlotte. I wasn't expecting anyone to donate much, but it turns out I had a mountain of stuff in my living room and on my couch. I made them into little gift bags which were purple since it was International Women's Month. With help of my 2 very close friends, we were able to bag the stuff within 3 hours, and we had the best time together. Then Ms. Bocconi and I drove the items to Safe Alliance, and this was a pretty eye-opening experience for me. My project didn't stop there. I participated in the New Gen Peace Builder program, and some classmates and I formed a toolkit that other organizations can use to host their own feminine hygiene drive. My hopes are for this project to spread and continue even after my time here at LNC is over. Because for women, periods will never go away, but we can eliminate the stigma around them. Thank you.
So I had the pleasure of working with Amanda and a few other girls from our school on the New gym project for open hygiene. And I didn't even know that this was an issue until Amanda brought it to my attention in this class. So, I mean, I'm a girl and I didn't know it. So I just really appreciate her standing up and talking about this in front of a group of all different kinds of people. So thank you, Amanda. Next up, we have Tyler with Your Words, Your Impact.
Language is a powerful thing. Have you ever heard someone say, "That's retarded," or "That's so gay," or "Ugh, triggered"? People rarely mean harm when they say these things, but for many, these words hurt. I'd like to focus on that last one, triggered. In case this is a new one for you, triggered means that something, a sight or sound, has stimulated memory of a traumatic event. For example, for a veteran, a car backfire might bring back bad memories of combat. Now, however, this word has a new meaning. Now it's used as a punchline. Some people proclaim they're triggered at the slightest inconvenience. This is usually followed by a mock seizure or something of that nature. It sounds childish, that's because it is. It may seem immature, but I've even heard adults abusing the phrase. In this room right now, 1 in 4 people are struggling with mental illness. If you're part of that 25%, you know how hard it is. People with mental illness face job discrimination, higher mortality rates, and judgment on all fronts. You might be wondering, what can I do to help? As cliche as it may sound, you don't need to start with something big. Giving funds to organizations fighting for these people is great, but the best way you can help is to start with yourself and the language you use every day. It is nearly impossible to know with 100% certainty whether someone is struggling with a mental illness or not. Take, for example, my grandmother. Outwardly, she is one of the most composed people I know, and just from talking to her, you never guess that she's dealt with bipolar disorder, or OCD, or depression. For my project, I made a series of videos educating people on terminology surrounding mental illness and the abuse of it. Throughout the year and throughout my project, I learned just how hard it is to advocate for people. I found it hard to practice what I preach. If you're someone who's on the fence like I was, I have one word of advice. Be that person. Stand up. When you hear people abusing this terminology, say something. Don't worry about those who say, "You're lame," or "You must not be fun at parties." For those with mental illness, it makes a world of a difference. Your words have impact. Make them worth speaking. While educating yourself and those around you will completely eradicate the deeply rooted hatred and abuse of mentally ill people in our society, it will make things somewhat better for those afflicted. Speak up. Remember the power that your words have to help, not harm. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that important message, Tyler. Next up, we have Riley with the puzzle of autism.
Take a moment to picture somebody you love. One of the people I love is my cousin Natalie. This is her. She's a very likable and intelligent girl who loves animals. Now let me ask you this. Would you love that person any less if you found out they had autism? Natalie found out she had autism at the age of 10. She was told at a younger age, she was diagnosed at a younger age than she was told. Her mother wanted her to be a little bit older before she told her. Natalie was a little bit upset at first, but later learned this isn't something that makes her bad, this is what makes her special. Because of Natalie, I wanted everybody with autism to feel accepted. So, here at Lake Norman Charter, I made 800 puzzle piece pins, and I handed them out at school. A puzzle piece represents the diversity of people, who live on the spectrum. Leading up to this event, I also tweeted facts each week throughout the year about autism awareness. Most people know what autism is, but don't know how it affects them. People with autism often have hyperacute senses, which can make their environment feel hostile. From a young age, Natalie would hate when I would yell and scream and make loud noises, but I was a young kid, so I continued to yell and scream and make loud noises. I learned quickly that me and her were very different, but we were both special in our own way. We grew up seeing each other before school, during school, and after school. I saw her every day. One year in middle school, I saw a kid was picking on her so badly that he had to be switched classes. He ended up being switched into my class. I wanted to make sure that this kid knew that this isn't something that makes her bad, it's what makes her special. So I told him, I wasn't mean or anything, but I needed to make sure that he knew that this is what makes her special and her. Being Allie's cousin and doing my passion project throughout this year, I learned that some people really do care what autism is and want to learn more. My challenge for you is to go learn what autism is so that you can make someone like Natalie feel accepted. Because what if it were somebody that you loved? Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that personal story with us, Riley. Next up, we have Emily with Gardening for a Greater Good.
For as long as I remember, I have always loved gardening. As a little girl, I loved getting down in the soil and making something grow. I loved seeing my finished product. A cucumber, a pepper, a tomato, an entire meal made possible with my own 2 hands. It wasn't until last year when I learned the true value in these experiences. In September of 2015, I attended a session at the CMC Hospital in Charlotte. What I learned here astounded me and has stayed with me ever since. In our community, the health disparities faced by those living in poverty are tremendous. Heart disease, cancer, diabetes, obesity, deadly illnesses and conditions inflicted more heavily on those who do not have access to proper nutrition. I'm lucky. I can go to the grocery store and buy all the kale, carrots, and broccoli I want, but not everyone can. Not everyone is able to afford to buy fresh produce. Why buy a bag of apples and some zucchini if you can easily buy a whole family's worth of meals from McDonald's at the same price? And this makes sense. If you barely have enough money to feed your family, proper daily nutrition is the least of your worries. You'll do anything just to get food in their mouths, and at that point, it doesn't matter what kind of food it is. But what if it didn't have to be this way? What if people knew that gardening is an easy and inexpensive way to gain access to fresh produce from your very own backyard? For example, there are about 15 squash seeds in a 1 gram packet. In a good season, about 15 squash will grow from just 1 seed. Multiply this by 15 seeds and say half the crop fails. That's still over 100 squash you are able to grow in 1 season. In just 1 season, you have grown over $150 worth of squash in your own backyard. Okay, I know not everyone is able to actually grow a garden in their backyard. But did you know that in the Charlotte area alone, there are over 40 community gardens? I didn't. Originally, I had planned to base my project around creating a community garden right here at Lincoln Charter, and even created a gardening club to help me do so. However, upon conducting my research, I came across a plethora of gardens all around me that I had never even known about. I was astonished. After emailing about 30 gardens inquiring about volunteer opportunities for students, I heard back from the Little Sugar Creek Community Garden in Charlotte and immediately set up a time to go check it out. Upon arriving at the garden, I met its coordinator, Mrs. Nadine. While on a quick tour of the 10-plot garden, she informed me that the people in the surrounding area are living either at or below the national poverty line and use the garden as a reliable source of produce. The garden is what she called a sweat equity garden, meaning that the people in the community come and volunteer at the garden and in return can take all the fruits and vegetables they want. After my initial visit, I returned to the garden several times and even brought some students along with me to help out. The great thing about this garden is that it's not the only one out there. Imagine if more people knew this. Imagine if more people knew how community gardens help those in need. Imagine if more people volunteered their time to help their neighbors live a happier and healthier life. Just imagine. Thank you.
Thanks, Emily. So that concludes our talks for tonight, but before I turn closing statements, I just want to take a second to admire the students in this class and what it's all about. I don't have this memorized, forgive me. My brain's a little full of AP Psych information, thanks Mr. Reeves, of the AP exam coming up. But okay, so everyone has something to learn from these amazing young adults. Their passion and creativity is what will set them apart from the rest of the world, and it will allow them to excel in whatever they choose to do for the rest of their lives. Sorry. This class and its amazing teachers and students have helped me to grow in ways I didn't even know I needed. And they continue to inspire me every day to be a more active member of my community and do what's right for not only myself, but for people around me. I'm so unbelievably proud to say I got the chance to know every single one of them. And parents, I'm sure you know this, but you have some very, truly amazing students. Okay, this is like the third time I've cried on this stage. So, sorry. So my fellow students and friends, you are all the shining light in the seemingly endless black hole known as high school. And I thank you for giving my senior year the pizzazz that it needed to get me through. So now, Ms. Laura, some closing statements.
All right, how about one more round of applause for those guys? So thank you all so much for coming out tonight. Mrs. McNeely and I could not be prouder of these students that you saw before you. They practiced and practiced. They have so much passion. I think you probably could feel it. And we just are proud doesn't even sum up how we feel about these kids and what they've accomplished this year. So to celebrate, we invite all of you to join us for cake right outside the door, right after we all file out, and we can celebrate them and the great stuff that they did this year. Thank you guys.